This is one of my favorite topics. I'm really good at finding markets, very good at finding markets. And I want to share with you guys how I find new markets that you never heard of before. Now, one benefit of me having being in the spotlight and talking to a lot of people is I learn about a lot of new markets from other people. They tell me about their properties. I learn out where their properties are, how their properties are doing, and I like to study those markets. So networking is one way you can find new markets. Okay, but sometimes I'm not going to lie. I'm not a natural extrovert, right? When I get home and I'm exhausted, I'm done with people. Sometimes we're tired of people, and we don't want to network all the time, and we just want to sit at home on the computer or whatever and just figure it out. And I just wear a hoodie and I just dig into the data, and I block out everything else. So what do I do when I put on my hoodie and I'm focused on the data? How do I find markets? This is my secret sauce, my secret hack on how I find new and emerging markets. And I kept finding them, and I was like, okay, I'm catching these. So what are the key ingredients to finding emerging markets? So let's talk about that. So number one, what is an actual emerging market? So an emerging market is a market that's seeing rapid, consistent growth in demand in the last 5 years, but has 500 active short-term rental listings. Okay? So how did I determine 500? I mean, that's kind of an estimate. It could be 574 or 600, but just a nice flat 500 is what I was seeing across a lot of these markets, 500 or less. Okay? So what we're seeing, here's an emerging market, and they're all unique. They don't have to be a vacation market. They can be urban. They can be, a ski market. They could be, well, that's vacation, right? They could be a college town, for example, like Gainesville, Florida. So here's some signs of an urban market. Here's the increase in population, steady rise in population over time in Gainesville, Florida. You can see their population in the 90s was 92. Now it's all the way 140,000. Okay? This correlates to the growth of the university there, right? And when we look in that market, there's not that many short-term rentals. And the supply, or the number of people coming to that market for graduations and sports games and whatever people go to colleges for, beyond the education, to visit, there's so much demand and not enough supply. But why are people not talking about Gainesville? It's because it's not these big, sexy vacation markets. It's an emerging market. All right. Now, let's talk about markets that appear to be emerging. And you're going to help me determine if this is an emerging market or not. So this is Blue Ridge, Georgia. Okay? And this is the gross. I need to update this for 2023. This is from the National Park. I love the National Park Service government sites because they give you data for free. And they put in these nice, beautiful charts where you can see how many people are going to the parks. And this is Blue Ridge Parkway. How many recreational visits? And so we have to be careful to avoid deceptive emerging markets, what I call it. So if we look at Blue Ridge and we look at the active listing count, we can see in 2018 it was 580, so active listing count of number of short-term rentals in the market. We see it's 589, and it's all the way up to 1174 in 2022, the end of 2022. Okay? Now, if we look at the growth pattern of traffic to the Blue Ridge Parkway, we can see it going, but really we're looking here. So you see this is COVID 2020, 2021, 2022. But what do you notice about the natural trend lines over time? It popped up. It's got a couple of years where it pops up, but it's going down, right? Naturally going just like this. You can kind of see it go up and peak and then start coming down. And then COVID, boom. And then now it's coming back down again. And then this year we actually have the data. It's down. It's actually down here. It's a lot lower. It's trending back down again. That's not an emerging market based on demand. So when we study emerging markets, it's not just about supply. It's also about foot traffic and demand. Is that growing year over year for a solid period of years? So let's take a look at a few other examples. Okay, so keep in mind, when I talk about a market, I'm usually meaning a region. So Blue Ridge is North Georgia. That's the region, right? So just because I say a particular market's name doesn't mean it's that specific market. It could be the region as a whole. Gainesville, Florida, that is a single market, and that is just the emerging market. But a Blue Ridge is like the North Georgia mountain region. Okay, take a picture of this or write it down. Here's how you find them. Number one, I've literally done this over and over and over. Number one, create a list of 10 to 20 markets. Now you can use SDR Insights. I'd love for you to use SDR Insights, right? So in SDR Insights, 10 to 20 markets that have the following criteria. They have 500 active listings or less, and they have a gross ROI of 15% or more. So what does that mean? What is gross ROI? So gross ROI is the yearly gross revenue divided by the purchase price of the property. In SDR Insights, I'm going to show you a screenshot in a second. We've calculated that for you for the markets. So you can use that as an indication that the revenue in these markets compared to the purchase price or your ROI is generally higher. So we can look for these indicators of these emerging markets by looking at active listing count and the gross ROI. Okay? Number two, determine nearby traffic drivers. And you can do this in multiple ways. But when I'm looking at new markets and I'm like, where the heck is, a Newry, Maine? When I first found that market, I was like, why are people going to Newry? So I type in Newry. What do you do in Newry, Maine in Google? And it pops up Sunday River Ski Resort. And I'm like, okay, cool, Sunday River. And it's like, there's like 500,000 people that go to that Sunday River every single year. I'm like, holy crap, it's a lot of people in this tiny town in Maine. Like, how many short-term rentals they have? Oh, less than 500. Well, where are people staying? And then how is this recent? Is this new? Like, this has been growing over time, and sure enough, it's been growing every year, and they're dumping $220 million into Newry, Maine ski resort, the Sunday River ski resort. And it's growing, and there's properties there that are over 2 million. There's properties there that are 300,000. I'm like, holy crap, this is an emerging market. No one's talking about it, and it's emerging. And I start there, then I just start Googling and researching these places and trying to understand them better. And you learn a lot about what drives the foot traffic, and you're looking for traffic drivers. So you can also Google, or if it's a national park, there's free data on the the national park site. How many people are going there per year? Okay. Then the final step is we're going to look now. My rule of thumb is you want at least 100,000 people going to that market per year. And I'll show you an example of that later. So number three, we're looking for properties within the market that also generate 50K. So I've done my list of 10 to 20. I've Googled. I know what the traffic drivers are in that market, so why people are going there and how many people are going there, getting a rough estimate at least. Now I'm looking for properties producing a revenue, a minimum of 50K. Okay? Now, why 50K? Number one, if it's only grossing $50,000, your net revenue is probably going to be like maybe 10,000. That ain't worth it for most of us. So we need to see these properties grossing $75, $100, $150, $200,000 even in these markets if we're going to pay over $300,000 to invest in these markets. So we really need to make sure that there are properties that are generating that revenue, because revenue is an indication of what? It's an indication of demand, meaning people are willing to pay to come to this area and be there. So if there's no properties generating over $50,000 in that market, that means there aren't a lot of people coming in this market. They're not willing to pay a lot to go to this market and visit it. Okay, so that's one sign I look for in emerging market, or the final sign. All right, let's talk about ways to determine growth. So now I showed you Blue Ridge, which was a fake emerging market. Here's an example of an actual emerging market. So I pulled this one. This is Sleeping Bear Dunes. This is in northern Michigan, near Traverse City. This is really a region once again. Here's what we see. So I got this from the National Park database. Here's Sleeping Bear Dunes over time. What is it trending up to do? It's going up, right? Not every year is the same. Obviously it fluctuates, just like demand, but it is going up over time. So this market is growing. It's emerging. Okay? We've got another one. So let's actually do an example of everything together. So what we're going to do is we can go into SDR Insights. This is what it looks like if you haven't seen it before. It's kind of blurry. I don't know why, but it is maybe blown up on the TV. But we have our filters up here. So let's say, I kind of got a little specific, but let's say I was looking for, and you can search whatever you want in SDR Insights. You're not limited by particular markets or states or whatever that crap is. You get everything, which frankly can be a little intimidating because it's a lot of data. So I like to be really specific. So I might search by state or by destination type or even my budget. But let's say in this example, I just pick a random state like South Dakota. Like who the heck goes to South Dakota? So it's like people who work in oil fields, right? No offense to them, but like really who goes there? Well, I put in South Dakota, I hit search and boom, here's my list. So number one, what am I looking for? I'm looking for active listing count, less than 500. Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe, Rapid City, 554, but that's pretty close, right? But the rest of them, less than 500 active listings. ROI, 15% or higher. Remember we talked about that? 15% or higher. There it is for you. The least is 18. So, okay, we got some good indicators there. But, like, who the heck is going to Deadwood or Custard or Lead or all these other... Why are people going there? Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to look, we can look at Custard and some of these other markets. You can't even see on the map, I'm sorry. But this is where Custard is. We get, you Google, why do people go to Custard? Boom! There's Mount Rushmore. Boom! There's Badlands National Park. And there's some other little national forests and stuff going on there too in Rapid City. Oh, wow. Did you guys know that like 4 million people go to Mount Rushmore per year? So why are people coming here? They're coming here for the national parks. 4 million people. Where are they staying? There's not a bunch of hotels here. There's opportunity here. This is an emerging market. Okay. It was funny. You guys know Avery Carl, Short-Term Shop, like the CEO of it. So I was telling her when I found this market about a year ago. So she's like, Kenny, don't you say a word about that market. And I'm like, why? Because I'm trying to get an agent there and I'm trying to get established and I'm looking at a property there. I don't want anybody else going there. And I was like, how did you find that market? And she's like, well, we visited there. And I was like, wow, this is really pretty. And there's a lot of people here. And she saw the traffic drivers. She saw the demand. And she was already planning that out. And so this is a good example of finding an emerging market by just visiting some areas across the country. So check out this area. It's going to be a little bit pricier though, but definitely good emerging market that we're going to see continue to pick up in revenue. And what's going on? All right. So we found gross ROI of the markets is really good. We know why people are going there. We know the active listing counts are there. But what else? We still need to know the demand. I kind of told you the answer to this, which is that there are 4 million people going. But guys, look at this. So this is Mount Rushmore alone. This isn't Badlands, which is just included in that, but in the total number. But this is Mount Rushmore alone. So here it is. What's the trend doing over time? It's going up, right? Okay, and you can see the numbers there. 2.4 million just for Mount Rushmore. Doesn't include Badlands as well. So this is a really, really, really cool emerging market that was found over a year ago, at least by me. I mean, I'm sure other people know. The people there know. And then I get angry emails from them saying, why are you telling people that? So anyway, whatever. They got to pay me, I guess, to keep my mouth shut. I don't know. So if we look, let's recap again. We know the active listing count, less than 500. We know the gross ROI is greater than 15%. We know why people are going there. We know how many people are going there. Now we need to know about revenue. Are people willing to pay to be there? So in SDR Insights, I can see a map of all the markets there, but this is Keystone, which is actually where Mount Rushmore is, which is near Custer and some of these other places. I can hover over the blue dots. Remember my rule of thumb? How much was the revenue I wanted it to be, minimum of? $50,000. I need to see at least 5 properties in this market making at least $50,000. All I got to do is hover over those blue dots. Those are Airbnbs or VRBOs. I can click their links there, and boom, there's their revenue. So I have checked all the boxes. People are willing to pay to be here. There's millions of people coming here, and nobody's talking about South Dakota. So you found yourself an emerging market. Congrats. You did it. Andrew's excited. Okay. So just to summarize this, an emerging market has less than 500, take a picture of this. I'll get in it. Make that joke every time. Them to get old. So less than 500 active listings. ROI is exceeding 15%. Gross ROI for the market average. Present of at least one major traffic driver. And my rule of thumb is at least 100,000 people. And then some properties within the market generating over, and I said, when I say some, at least 5, generating over 50K a year in revenue. Now, I want to preface this a little bit. When I say less than 500, you're going to shoot for 100 to 500, okay? Because you want to make sure you got the resources there. If you're in a market where there's 5 short-term rentals and your cleaner quits, it's awkward. Especially if the other cleaner in the market's the cleaner's sister or mother. So, yeah, you don't want to be in that situation. Yes, Nelson.
Yeah, quick question. When you said the presence of one major traffic driver, what distance, time are you talking about?
Sure. So he asked, when you see the presence of one traffic driver, what's the distance time to it? I mean, I would say within 30 minutes. You know, it needs to be there at the market, right? Like, why are people going to that market? Because of Sunday River, because of Mount Rushmore, because of this. Like, this is where the traffic driver is. This is where they stay, or they want to stay. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay. Great. Any questions about this? You guys feel like you can do this? It works. It works. Yes, sir.
So when you're talking about gross ROI, you're talking purchase price. Are you talking about gross purchase price or net purchase price? What I mean by that is it include closing costs, carrying costs, renovation?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So he's asking about gross ROI. What is that for the purchase price side? Is it net purchase price, meaning like, are you including all of your like the acquisition costs into it, like the furnishing things? No, I am not. Okay. So I want to keep it simple. There's a lot of little variables we can get in the nitty gritty and like try to figure out. But the reality is for this, we're just keeping it super simple. All this is doing, this isn't actually telling us there are deals here in this market. There might not be anything for sale in this market and not make sense. But the reality is it's telling us this market's performing well and growing over time. So I encourage you to look for at least 3 to 4 emerging markets. That will increase your probability of finding deals as you search. With any market search, you should be looking at 3 to 4 markets. If you're only looking in one market, especially with today's inventory and prices and interest rates, you're going to have a hard time finding something. So we got to open the net and let that funnel through. Okay, other questions? Yes.
You said Blue Ridge was a good area, but you said you need to expand out in a region. So is that region one that you might find gems in?
No.
What would you say is a good market to go to a region?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So she's asking when I said Blue Ridge, and I was talking about the region and everything. So when I say a market is a region, for example, Asheville, North Carolina, there are 10 different markets around Asheville, North Carolina. So I usually like to say Western North Carolina to include Asheville and all those other markets. So Blue Ridge, I use Blue Ridge because I literally had data for Blue Ridge, but really that's North Georgia. Okay, so if you're not finding anything in that market or that region, then yeah, that's it. So Ryan Bakey, the tax CPA guy, has deemed me the Kenny Bedwell, the Blue Ridge hater. So yeah, that one. And Bill calls me Logan, Ohio hate, but that's his thing, not me. So anyway, I do hate on Blue Ridge. So I've started to accept that now. It's a tough market to be in for a lot of beginners. Some people have made out like bandits. A lot of people have not. And I get a lot of calls from people saying I'm not making money, and they're 9 times out of 10 in Blue Ridge or Broken Bow. So anyway, other questions about this? All right, I put you to sleep. Who's hungry? Or did you already eat? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for sharing with me. All right, great, guys. That's it. Oh, wait, is that it? Let's see. That's it? Okay. Guys, so we do have a free report of good markets to invest in. Now, the markets in this report, they're not necessarily emerging. Some of them are, some of them aren't. In one of the last pages, it's my favorite page because it's Kenny's top markets to invest in, my top 10 markets. So you should check out that list. And I've got some fun ones in there, and Blue Ridge is not on that list, so or any of the pages. So check out the free report, and I will see you in about 5 minutes? 5 minutes for evaluating